Ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome Mr. Babar Ahmed.
Great. So my name is Babar Ahmed, as I guess you guys have heard so far. Just as a brief introduction, I head up Mindstorm Studios, which is a game development company here based out of Lahore in Pakistan. Okay? And I was invited to give this talk today by Zainab and Umar, and I'm very grateful to actually have the opportunity to be here. And I was thinking about, what should I talk about today? Like, what's the core purpose of this forum? I thought, okay, fine, there's the standard company presentation. I could tell you guys about what our company does and where we've been and how we've achieved what we've managed to achieve so far. And that's all nice, and it's a story, and you could sit there and listen to a story. And that's always a good thing. But I thought a bit more about it, and I said, hey, what's pertinent to you guys? If I was sitting in your place, what would I like to know? What would I like to hear actually sitting in your place, right? And I was like, if I was in your place, I'm most likely trying or thinking about going into entrepreneurship. I'm thinking about doing something different than my day job. I'm trying to make a change, trying to shake things up. So what would I like to hear if I actually was thinking about making that kind of a jump? So I got up today morning and I kind of scrapped my old presentation and I then redid the presentation for something along those lines. And on those points, how many people in the audience actually have started a company and are successful right now? Great. So there's one person. Congratulations to you, sir. And other than that, I mean, I'd say there's not everybody here is a successful entrepreneur. So we're kind of in the same boat. And the idea there is that in the second half of the presentation, after I tell you a bit about our company, I wanted to address what I think I would like to hear sitting in your place in saying, how do I go from where you guys are into being a successful entrepreneur? All right, at least from my perspective. How do we go from where you guys are sitting in your chair into trying to be successful? Okay? So, but before that, let's get the company stuff out of the way. So why can I actually come up here and talk? What have we done in the past? We're a product company. I'm not going to talk a lot about our company. If you guys have questions about it, of course, we can take that up in a Q&A session. We are about 6 years old. So we're formed in 2006. The key difference between our company and other companies in this space and in most of the other spaces in Pakistan is that we are entirely a product-focused company. So we're not a services-based organization, so we don't sit down and say, hey, client XYZ, let me get a project, let me make this for you, and let me make some money off of that. No, that's not what we do. What we do is creative work. We sit down and say, hey, this is what I want to make, because I think this is cool, or I think this is going to work, and I think this is going to make us some money, and I think this is going to make a difference. So a bunch of guys get together, and girls, and we say, all right, fine, let's try and make this product. So we're product-focused entirely. We're also self-funded. That is very similar to, I think, almost most of the companies in Pakistan, and we'll get to that. We started initially in 2006 when the mobile revolution really hadn't happened, at least not the smartphone revolution. And the PC platform was the primary platform for game consumption other than the console. So we started off with PC games and stuff, and alhamdulillah, we've made a lot of games, and I'll show you a bit of those. We've done fairly well as a company. I wouldn't say we're super successful, but this year, we're closing in roughly in $1 million in revenue this year, just on our own products, and then hopefully it's going to be upwards of that. So we do kind of sort of know how to do this stuff, but we're not like a super successful company yet. Hopefully we'll get there. So this is one of our games right now. I think we mentioned that, Zena mentioned in the introduction. This game actually hit #1 across all app stores when we launched it. It also happened to be our first mobile game that we made. I'll quickly go through some of the stuff. This game right here is a social game. It's a kind of a mashup between the mafia genre, like Mafia Wars, where you go and attack and kill each other and stuff like that, and the farming genre, where it's all nice and happy and you grow carrots. And so we kind of merged those two and said, let's try and make something ironic, if you will. This game is making a lot of money, all right? As a stat, some guy logged into our game like a few months ago, and in one day spent $5,000. One guy spent $5,000 one day within this product. So yeah, so I know it sounds stupid, and actually that's what we thought. We thought it was a server-side error, but it actually wasn't the case. I'm sharing those numbers with you that these things do work. It's not like it's not hogwash. And again, if you guys have questions about that, we can discuss it in the Q&A session. This is another one of our games. It's an arcade-style puzzler. This has done really well as well, over 1 million downloads. This is a variation on our Mafia game. It's a more thematic RPG-type Kingdoms game. This is also doing really well for us right now. And we have a bunch of other mobile games. So these are all on the mobile side and stuff. And it's our product portfolio. And of course, for every successful game, there are many other non-successful experiments, as is the case with anything in life. This is the World Cup game that people spoke to you about. So the way the World Cup game worked for us was that our first product in the company's history was actually a full-blown 3D PC cricket game. And when we started, we didn't know how to do this stuff. In fact, we didn't know. Nobody had ever made a game in our company before, right? And the only reason why we did a game was because we were passionate about making games. Because I've been playing games all my life. My brother has been playing games. We're like, हाँ यार cricket game बनाते हैं मजा आएगा. That's all we thought, right? और 3 साल लग गए हमें मजा लेते हुए, right? And it took us a long time. But alhamdulillah, the game came out. That was actually this game right here. It's called Cricket Revolution. Pepsi sponsored that game and bought it from us within Pakistan. Then we were able to sell that game to the ICC as well. And that was a big thing for us because there were other competitors like EA and Codemasters and billion-dollar companies that we won the license out from. I don't have much of a demo. I have this coming up. Let me see if is this mic on? You guys can hear it from this, right? So, all right. This is a video of the game. So that was our title about 4 or 5 years ago. It's a lot of nostalgia associated with it. Of course, the graphics are a little pre-gen given where we are these days. But back then, with the kind of money that we had, i.e. zero, that's the kind of stuff we could make. And that game did do really well for us. It sold on Steam. So I'm not sure if you guys know what Steam is. But Steam is an independent publishing platform made by Valve. Valve are the same company that made Counter-Strike, Half-Life. They're a very, very popular game development studio and distributor. And they're very picky and selective about the stuff that they sell. And so we pitched our game. They liked it. They said, sure, we'll sell it. So that's the start there, right? Wow, OK, I've already jumped a slide ahead. So that's kind of all I wanted to say about my company and what we've done in the past. And of course, if you guys have questions about that and about the industry and about how much money people can make in this industry, we can talk about that in a Q&A. I wanted to move quickly to the second part of this talk, which is based on my personal experiences. This is not some global industry standard or data or stuff. This is my opinion on what it takes for an entrepreneur in your position to go from where you are to being successful. All right? And if you guys are thinking about being an entrepreneur and stuff, these are the things that I would think about were I in your place. All right? So I've drawn up a chart here. And very broadly, of course, there are a lot more ingredients in being a successful entrepreneur. But very broadly, I've categorized them into these categories, which is the entrepreneur, him or herself, the team that they work with, the idea that they have, the money that they have to begin an entrepreneurship venture with, the ecosystem, and we'll get to that, and, of course, luck. All right? And I've given a personal weightage to how important I think each item is relative to a 100% scale in terms of you being successful. Okay? So we're going to address each one by one. Let's talk about the entrepreneur. All right? So the entrepreneur in this case is you guys. It's you in the seat. It's you in the seat. It's that successful guy right there. Right? And the idea is that you, as an entrepreneur, are the single most important person in the equation of being successful. All right? And it's not as simple as saying, "Ha, theek hai, right? I want to be an entrepreneur, so I'm going to go up and be successful." All right? If I were to ask a question and say, how many people in this room can actually slam dunk a basketball on an NBA court? Hands? All right, so we've got one guy who believes he can. All right, and that's excellent, right? The rest of you, like myself, are probably thinking, crap, I can't slam dunk, I can't jump 12 feet high in the air, all right? Why? I mean, you might be short, you might not be the most physically fit person like me, right? And it's just tough. There's a physical limitation on you not being able to slam dunk a basketball, right? Entrepreneurship is no different. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Not everybody can get up and say, hey, yeah, today I'm going to be an entrepreneur, all right? The problem is that the variables that go into defining whether you can or cannot be an entrepreneur are not really tangibles, all right? Let me ask you some questions. Let's say you started a company and you didn't have salaries to pay for the next month. Would you sell your house to pay those salaries? Would you sell your car to pay those salaries? Would you borrow money from your mom and sell her jewelry to pay those salaries? All right? You have to ask those questions. All right? Are you that kind of a person? Can you work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week? Most of us work, most of us go to work 9 hours a day. Most of us work 3 hours a day. All right? Can you work 16 hours a day? Can you work when you're not working, when you're sleeping, when you're eating? All right? Do you believe, regardless of what anybody tells you, that you can succeed? I can make it, man. I don't care whether this person thinks I can't make it. I don't care what he says. I don't care what she says. I know I can make it. Do you have that belief in yourself? All right? Can you take risks? Can you go out and say, I'm going to do the craziest thing today in the world? Do you even go to new restaurants? Right? You go, nahi yaar, wo khana pata nahi kis tarah hone wala yaar. You don't even take that kind of a risk. Are you willing to take a risk with your life and the life of the people around you? Can you handle failure? Because guess what? If you start entrepreneurship, that's a big reality of entrepreneurship. You will fail, all right? And can you handle that? It's only from the ashes of failure do you succeed, do you come out, do you learn from those mistakes and and grow as an entrepreneur, all right? And there are many other questions. The list goes on. These are just some examples that I'm bringing up, and sorry if I'm being a bit passionate about it, but that's really the kind of questions you need to ask yourself. Are you ready to be an entrepreneur, all right? And the key takeaway really is that it's not for everyone. Slam dunking in NBA basketball court is not for everyone. Being the Formula 1 world champion is not for everyone. Being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. That's important. And those are the things you need to ask yourself, is it for you? All right? Let's say you guys have taken the initiative to come here. It is for you guys. So we're all in this room. We're like, yes, I believe in myself. I'm ready to do what it takes. Okay? How do you go from there to saying, what's the next step? Okay, the next thing that's important to you is the team. Okay? The problem is that, and there's a problem here, okay? That you is this blue MSN I got off the web, all right? In Pakistan, and this is particularly in Pakistan, there's lots of yous, all right? Everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur wants to be the entrepreneur, all right? People don't, in Pakistan in particular, we don't have a culture of working together. We don't have a culture of saying, all right, man, I have an idea. I know you have 2-3 different ideas, but look, I can bring this to the table. You can bring this to the table. Let's get together and make something. 4 yous don't make a company. 1 you and 3 team members make a company, all right? Now, these guys are so important. This team member in an entrepreneurship venture or entrepreneurial venture is no less important than your life partner, okay? Because you're going to be spending more time with your team. You're going to be eating with your team. You're going to be drinking with your team. You're going to be sleeping with your team. The team is going to be your life, all right, for the next N number of years. So selecting this team is super important, and they're as important to your success as you are to your success, okay? And that's a concept that in Pakistan in particular, we need to ingrain in ourselves. We need to ingrain in ourselves that your team members are important, okay? And to alleviate some of the questions that people have, but I need this ownership, I need that. Not everybody who is a team member is not an entrepreneur. Just because you're a team member doesn't mean you're not entrepreneurial, all right? But everybody brings their own piece of pie to the equation, and it all adds up. So, but basically, when you choose your team, so A, you decided to be an entrepreneur, B, you're choosing your team, remember that in a good team, the value really is not 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 11, + 1 = 111 if you choose your team correctly. And they're as important as your life partner in choosing your team. So let's say that you want to be an entrepreneur. You got your team together. Now you're like, dude, I had this awesome idea, man. I want to make this thing, and it's going to be the best thing in the world, okay? The key pitfall that I've seen talking to people is that all entrepreneurs at the early stage are so attached to their idea. They love it so much. They believe, yaar, wouldn't it be cool if I could do this? This is the best thing in the world. Now, that's good.